Okay, well, hello. This is our early morning edition to, oh my God, to the insanity up here, 8 stories above Chops in downtown Boca Raton. This is either the early morning edition or the late night edition for you insomniacs that can't figure out how the hell to go to sleep. Go to sleep. Come on, get out of here. All right. You don't want to get out of here. I understand. Hello. I have this little puppy dog that you wouldn't believe it. Let me show you this little beast right here. This is current events. It's this little dog. See, that's a dog. It's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. And it loves to place itself in empty Amazon boxes. Now that box, let me just estimate this box. I would say it's the wrong denomination. I would say it's 14 inches diagonal. Yeah. I'm looking at that. I got a dog sleeping in it. Crazy as that. Now remember, when you look at the photos, you pull up on it and you can see the exit data. And right there it says March 26th at 2:31 a.m. Now that was 30 minutes ago, excuse me. But that's a picture of this little bugger. To zip up my coat, it's 66 degrees in here. What the hell's going on? Someone turn on the heat. Yeah, we'll just tuck that baby back up there. Yep. That's why you wonder why I got all this clothing on. It's freaking winter time in here. There's so much stuff going on in the world. Look at this little deal right here. That is the sun, by the way, and it is going down. At 7:20 p.m. You see it? It's getting ready to go down. You got cloud cover, all kinds of different weather going on. My son took this, I was going to say this evening, yesterday evening, because it's Thursday. It's pre-dawn, according to my clock. Down here, see right here, it says pre-dawn, 3:03 a.m., 3:03. And if you look right there, I should say, it shows you the seconds and everything. Unfortunately, my boom mic thing gets right in the way of that. I should be able to figure out how to avoid that. Let's try something. If I go up, can I turn this down? Let's go up and turn this down. Yeah. No, you still can't see it. And it bangs right in there. So we're going to go back to this. I see most of my podcasting folks, not my, but podcasting folks, they have this SM7B microphone, which is magnificent. It picks up the voice like unbelievable. All right, so that's a very nice shot that he's got there. Now, when was this taken? 11 p.m. I was going to say 10 p.m. See that, or you can. Yep. He is sleeping like crazy. Hey, this sucker does sleep. See, now I'm on the wrong end of the sleeping thing. So I'm up, he's asleep, she's asleep. She at 10 weeks old, she's not ready to stay all night, all by herself. The dog turns into popcorn, jumping up and down. I just can't abandon this little booger. So for the next week, I'm gonna give her one more week and see what happens. She was born on New Year's Day, so that's pretty easy. According to the papers, we have papers. This is a pedigree. We have papers. Yes, we do. Watch this. Oh, wow. All right, we lost Facebook. After 7 minutes. So now, the interesting thing about this, I'm going to stop it when we get to right there. Okay, so now here we are. Now, what's tricky about this whole explosion thingy is that the explosion starts in the. Let me go full screen on this just for a moment, if you don't mind. There we go. Can you cut down Epidemic just a little bit? I can't hear myself think. There we go. That's better. So, if you look at this, so I could go full screen on that too. There we go. There we go. So forget where the crosshairs are of, the, look up in the, I would say the northwest corner, right up there. Well, you can't see my finger. Just look left and up. And now I'm going to start it, and you'll see that's where the initial bomb hit. It was a bunker buster kind of bomb. And it blew up a whole bunch of other stuff, and the whole square blows up. So apparently Mossad, somebody found, sighted an underground bunker. Yeah. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bam! The whole thing goes. We're talking serious. This will repeat. There we go. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I took a video of the video to show you that because it's just so spectacular. Bam. Yeah. All right. There we go. That. There we go. Go back. See now, if my little puppy dog here that weighs like 5 pounds, it'll grow to about 16 pounds when full grown. So it is 1/3 of its adult weight. I guess adult weight about 5 months from now. But I just maybe 12 weeks. I'll let her see if she can sleep. Yeah, she sleeps in the box pretty good. She was jumping up and down to get on my lap, which would be a little inconvenient with everything that's going on here at 3:10 a.m. Go back to sleep. Yeah. Anyway, but I'd be doing just what she's doing. I'd have my I don't know what kind of headphones she's got on. I have Sony XM4 or XM6. In the studio, I'm wearing a Sony XM4s. I'll show you. There they are. It's not very bright in here, but these things are so comfortable. You can get these inserts that you replace the foam inserts by the inside of the interface between your ear and the ear cup. That white layer right there. She doesn't look like she's got too much foam. I got lots of foam. Yeah. There's a place you can buy really cool inserts for these headphones. I have them for the XM6 and the XM4. The XM5, you know, I had a pair of those and they broke, you know. I mean, the earpiece broke right here. You know, right there, you can see where my finger's tapping. Yeah. So I sent them back, and I said, "Send me a 4." So I have 4. So I have a 4, and I have a 6. That's it. I believe that's it. I hope that's it. The 6s are good because the firmware has been improved so that it locks in much quicker for the Bluetooth because, you know, here I'm wired. You can't do wireless when you're doing this broadcasting business because there's a little bit of a delay, just, you know, maybe a 30 millisecond delay. It's just enough. That delay creates a 30 millisecond echo. So you said, what? You know, I mean, no. The echo is a little faster than that, but it sounds like you're in a bathroom in the headphones. So you got to be wired. So this setup has a cable that fits right into the sound box here. This Rodecaster Duo, which is like a Rodecaster Pro Roman numeral 2, but it's a duo because it means it'll handle you and a guest. You know, so if I had a guest, of course, at 3 in the morning, no one's going to show up here, you know, at 3 in the morning. So, heck with that. Okay, of interest, moving right along here, I'm going to come up to that. Let's just show you what happened. What happened with Mega Millions is this is Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. Tuesdays and Fridays, we have Mega Millions. Yeah. And Tuesday Mega Million, March 24, 413, 52, 53, 69, and Mega Millions Ball 10. That's why it's in yellow. No one won that one. So, that's called a rollover. So there it is.
It's 3:15.
Let's, no, we don't want that. We want this one. There we go. So there you can see lemon color. Yeah. So it is rolled over to a $70 million payout if someone was lucky enough to win. Now, just so you know, it's a 290 million to 1 chance of you not winning. So this is not an investment that you make. It is a wild ass gamble. It's like getting hit with lightning. Yeah, that's how you should think about it. It's like getting hit with lightning. 290 million to 1. That means if everybody in the entire United States of America bought one of these tickets, someone I guess someone would win if they're all serially, if all the possibilities are covered, because they're 330 million. So it would roll over and, you'd have in theory, you could have 2 winners. Friday Mega Millions on March 27, which is tomorrow, which is tomorrow, Friday night at 11 p.m. This is so Thursday 11 p.m. 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. is 12 hours. 3 p.m. 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 That's 39 hours from now. I guess if you had all of, got to get through all of today before you get through, to 11 p.m. on Friday. So, yeah. $70 million. That's why it says rollover. We don't have the numbers yet. Wouldn't that be nice if we had the numbers in advance? Yeah. Anyway, so a $70 million to a single winner jackpot equates to, I'm doing a little expando here, next to the green dot, a $31,600,000 lump sum. Now, unfortunately, so if you showed up 2 weeks, 15 days following the draw date, that's the rule. They need 15 days following the draw date to collect the money from the other 45 states and 2 territories that sell, Mega Million tickets from their 223,000. 223,000. Can you believe it? That's the number of retailers that sell tickets in the 45 states. So that's why I give you the lowdown that it's a 290 million to 1 chance that you will not win. Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, so if by chance you did win, a $70 million to a single winner. They're just going to assume there's a single winner. There's likely not going to be any winner. If there was one, God bless you. The lump sum would be $31,600,000. But unfortunately, the long arm of Uncle Sam, they have a withholding tax of 24%. So, after the 24%, that 31,600,000 shrinks to 24,016. Poor baby. That's not a bad winning. Can I imagine 24 million? All of a sudden hits your checkbook. Yeah. Because of the 24% withholding. Now, beware that the 31,006,000 is what goes on your tax return April 2017. And they're going to be looking for the other 13% because you're very likely going to be in the 37% tax bracket. So you see 24 million shrinks to 19,000,009. So let's just say 20 million. So 24 goes to 20 million. That's, that's another $4 million gets whacked away because 13% of that, 39, yeah. Whoops. Oh my God, what happened? There we go. There we go. So you can do the math. This spreadsheet has done the math. It's, I think, pretty much spot on. So the jackpot after 37% is 19,908. 19,908,000, rounded to the nearest thousand. So if 37% is the tax, then 63% is what you retain. So if you take 63% of that number right there, 31.6. Let's do the math for you. 31.6. Oh. Times 0.63, because you're in a 37% bracket. 19,908,000. Right on the button. Yeah. You don't think I'd show you that if I didn't know what I know. Yeah. Yeah, I've double checked with the calculators, all these calculations. So, since your checkbook is going to shrink to 19,908,000, in a year and a couple of, this is March, April, so about a year from now, there's about $4 million you gotta pay up. So don't put it in the side pocket. Just take $4 million, put it in the side pocket. Let me show what you do with the $4 million. You take $4 million, and put it in a 4% interest-bearing money market account. Yeah, so you can write a check anytime. That'll earn $160,000. I mean, his numbers are big, So you put the $4 million, that grows by $160,000. So then you have $4,160,000. So you can write that check. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Let's go back here. There we go. Just put that off in the side pocket. Get that $4 million the hell out of there. You don't want to take any chances. And with the 160,000 worth of interest income on there, that gives you a little more. That gives you over $4 million. From the way it looks here, it will be slightly over $4 million. But you should have, about $140 something thousand left over after you pay that other 13%. Because Uncle Sam is going to want $4 million. You can bet you. Oh yeah, they're going to be following you all over the place. Not really. There may be a way of paying that right away and getting some kind of a early pay, tax credit or something. I don't know. Check with your tax guy, since you just won at about $20 million after tax, assuming you live in Florida, Tennessee, or Texas. Otherwise, you have a state income tax to pay on top of that. When you like it, you live in New Jersey or New York, and you gotta strip away another $4 million to pay your state income tax. Jeez. Well, here's another suggestion. If you bought this ticket in New York or New Jersey or a blue state that has a 10, 11, 12, 13% income tax, state income tax on lottery winnings, buy something down here in South Florida and say, I am a Florida resident. 200 days out of the year. I think it's 50% of the time, over 50% of the time, you have to live in Florida in order to be a Florida resident, as opposed to a New York resident or a New Jersey resident. So do that first before you claim the ticket. And then after that, because I believe you pay the tax when you actually have earned the money, and you haven't earned the money until you turn in the ticket. If you lose the ticket, you don't earn anything. Don't lose the ticket. Get your ass down to Florida or Texas or Tennessee. Buy a little something, a very, very little residential. It could be a one-bedroom apartment, for, $80,000. Just buy a little something up in north, in the panhandle of Florida. It'd be real cheap. Yeah, $50,000. You don't have to buy. You can be a rent. Rent something. Yeah. You just have to be there. You just have to live there, in that tax year. That's about 200 days out of you have to live in Florida. Now, you could buy that thing. You could rent something, anywhere. So you rent something in Florida. And then when you get your hands on that $19,908,000, then you buy yourself a nice $5 million condo and move all your stuff into that. And that way you have something nice to live in. Now the other, so if you have 200 days down in your nice $5 million condo, then you got 160 days that you can banter around in New York or New Jersey, wherever you used to live. You do that, you save $4 million in tax. So instead of $19,908,000, you'd have $15,908,000. Isn't it better to have $19,908,000? Yeah. You don't want that state income tax stuff. Okay, I'm going to flip this over one more. Now, you also have the ability to sign up. This is an or situation, not an and. There is a 5% growing annual annuity that you can elect to win with your winning. Because remember, you won a $70 million lottery. Well, how do you get the $70 million? Well, the way you get the $70 million, the only way of getting the $70 million is to take the 29-year and 1 day annuity. So you get $1,053,000 on day one when you turn in the ticket. 15 days from the draw date is the earliest you can do that.
It's 3:30.
Within 60 days of the draw date, you have to declare whether you want the annuity or the lump sum. If you do not declare that within 60 days, you're getting the annuity. They close it down. You have the choice to get lump sum if you declare that you want the lump sum within 60 days or within 59 days. It says 60 days. So do it within 58 days, will you, dummy? If you want the lump sum, if you want that 19,908,000, you got to tell them. You got to call them on the phone. They're going to ask you for all the serial numbers on the ticket and all that kind of stuff to verify that you really have the winning ticket. They're going to tell you, put it in a baggie and put it in the freezer. Put it in a baggie and put it in a safety deposit box. Take a iPhone picture of it, front and back. And put that sucker in a safety deposit box. Yeah, put it in a secure place because it's a $20 million thing. I mean, people, beat your apartment apart to get to a $20 million ticket. So you don't want bad guys stealing your ticket while you're out gallivanting and having dinner out. And then you come home and your apartment is totally ransacked because someone told somebody who told somebody that Jimmy won, and then they attacked Jimmy's apartment. And they pretend they're delivering, an Instacart, and they're going to beat your place apart to get that ticket. So put it in a safety deposit box. Yeah. Got to do it. Because you got that, that whatever period of time until you get up to, because you have to physically present the ticket. If it was a Florida winter, then you go to Tallahassee and you present your ticket. Now you can present your ticket before 15 days following the draw date, but you're not going to get the 19,908,000 before 15 days from the draw date, because they need the 15 days from the draw date to collect the money from the 45 states, the District of Columbia, and the Virgin Islands, where there are, in total, 223,000 approved lottery retailers. And they audit up and down and all of that, and they get it and they collect all the money, and if one thing's shown, they figure it out, and oh my God, yeah. It's it's all automated. They, every night or every other night, the lottery retailers make deposits. It's almost like making a TTL deposit for payroll tax, if you know what that means. So, you show your audit ticket, the retailing system spits out your summary totals for the day on how much money was collected for the different lottery games that there are out there, which there are quite a number of them, apparently. Now, those statistics get electronically transmitted to a central location in Florida. Each state has the same system. So, then the lottery, so the lottery headquarters in Tallahassee, I'm just going to stick this to a Florida conversation. But just know each state does it the same way. So the statistics goes up there, at like 11 p.m., right? And then the next day, because 11 p.m. may be too late for you to make a deposit in your bank, then before 10 p.m. of the following day, you're charged with the responsibility of making an electronic transfer of the monies that you collected from the various lottery games. And then the lottery ricochets back 5% of, like in the case of Mega Millions, that's a $5 ticket. So if you sold 100 tickets, you'd make $5 because you make 5% of the gross selling price of the tickets. So if you sold, 1,000 Mega Millions tickets, you'd make $50. That's how the lottery retailer. That's the reason why the lottery retailer does it. Makes 5%. Yeah, so if he's in an area where there's a lot of foot traffic and people come and, buy a lottery ticket here and there and a Powerball ticket and, spend maybe $10, $20 when they come and go, That's how that's how it adds up. And when you have 223,000 retailers, wow. They sell $20 worth of tickets an hour. It's $20 an hour. That's $100. Just say $100 an hour. It's open 12 hours, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think. That's 12 hours. That's $1,200. $100 an hour. That's $1,200. Anyway. $1,200 times 5% is $60. $60 a day turns into $1,800 a month. That pays the electric bill in your lottery retailing place. Anywho, the annuity, you get $1,053,000 on day one when you collect it, which of course is no sooner than 15 days following the draw date. In other words, you got to give them 2 weeks plus a day to collect all the money and to settle up with all their lottery retailers, because it is money, they got to collect it, and then they have to buy the annuity, which then funds the $1,053,600. That buy the annuity thingy I'll explain another day. So then next year you get $1,053,000 plus 5% of $1,053,000, and then so that would be $55,000. So in year two, you get $1,000,001. The first year you get $1,053,000. Year 2 you get about $1,000,001. Well, let's see if we know. There we go. Don't I have a? I guess I don't. So we look here. I think I show. So I'm gonna. So you see where the rollover is. So a $70 million lottery rolls over to 31,000,006. You see that? And then after withholding 24,016. And then you remember the 19,908. Yep. And then there's the 1,053,000. You see, and then the second payment, which is, a year after you got the first payment, it grows by 5%. And then the year after that, that grows by 5%. So that would be, like 55,000 more than this. Because 11 times 5 is 55. So, and that compounds. And the last ticket is like, when you go the 29-year, the 30-year, 30 payments, that's the first one. That's the second one. And it's, 28 more. Well, that 30th payment is like $3 million. That's what 5% compounding interest. Gosh, the annual amount is like 3 times what it started at. So the annuities. So you add it all up. You add all those numbers up. It adds up to 70 million. That's how you get your 70 million. You take the annuity, and then that would be your first check. The 1,053,000. And 1,106, that would be your second payment. And then your third payment would be, 1,161,000. Yeah. 5% more than that, And, by the time you get to year 7 or 8, it gets up to $2 million ticket. So, if you live modest means and you want to, you have $1 million, gross income, by the way, that's not after tax, that's pre-tax. That's what that pre-tax means. No tax, no income tax is applied to that. Because I don't know what state you're going to win it in. A state of confusion, yeah. There is no state income tax in Florida, but there is a federal tax. So $1 million income, I don't know what tax bracket you'd be in. That's another question. Because $1 million income doesn't necessarily mean you're in the 37% tax bracket. But you might be in the 30% tax bracket. So that means you get 700,000 instead of 1,053,000, because that's the gross amount. Yeah, you got to pay Uncle Sam. He wants his cut. State may not have income tax, but the federal income, the IRS has income tax. You can do TurboTax, and it'll tell you exactly what the plan is. Yeah, so there's too many variables on. So I just give the pre-tax number, and I don't want to deal with income tax. Now for the jackpot, I show you the 3 columns here. The $70 million lottery on the 27th of March, which is tomorrow. For you pre-dawn early risers, or you late-nighters, you insomniacs that can't sleep, or you just work on the other end of the clock. I mean, that's, you could be a security guy driving home. You got an hour drive, so you tune in, listen to Jimmy talking about this lottery stuff. Get yourself a Mega Million ticket and see if you can get lucky. Remember, it's 290 million to 1 shot that you will not win this. Yeah, I do this spreadsheet, just for the fun of it because I'm a math guy. I minored in math actually, and and I have spreadsheet skills, if you will. I believe this spreadsheet is correct. Looks like I touched. There's 2 little dits on the 800,000 one. It's 3:45 a.m. I'm told by my computer, in case you didn't hear it. There it is, 3:45 in living color. You can see it right there. And right below it, you can see the outdoor temperature in this pre-dawn hour is 72.3. And that's 100 feet above ground because I'm on the 8th story of this building above Chops. If you're about to go into the Chops entry, you look straight up and you might see Jimmy looking straight down at you. Yeah. We are directly above the entryway to Chops. Yeah. Anyway, this thermostat, which you can see right here, I'm circulating my hand. See that 72.3? If you look real carefully, yep, that's the outdoor temperature, 66% humidity, and 72.3 degrees. Now look over here, 66.4 degrees and 47% relative humidity. You would think with all my blowharding in here, the temperature would go up. It's 60. That's why I got a jacket on. It's so pretty because I close these doors because they're not 100% closed. Because the doggy gets nervous if he gets closed in. And the cats, they scratch at the door because they roam around. They're nocturnal animals, so they're roaming around as we speak. Yeah. So be that. When I get done with this broadcast, I'm going to saute some mushrooms in pure butter. Just saute them up and put them in a cup, and that'll be my dinner or my breakfast, I guess. Whenever I get tired of talking, which I don't often get too tired to talk. Yeah, I know how to talk. All right, so the $60 million lottery, which didn't happen, those were the numbers. Yeah, see, 413, 413, 52, 53, 69, Mega Millions ball 10. I gleaned that right off of the website. So I can go right here to this app right here. This is a Florida. You saw a Florida lottery app. If you were looking fast enough. I have to bring it in so you can see all of it. There we go. Now you can see all of it. Yeah. Let's close that down. I'll do it again. Oh, God. So I'm going to go right up here. It says lottery. Yeah, it's got a red box on it. See it up in the top there? It's right next to that graph looking thing. It's right above the heart, diagonally above New York Post. 2 apps down from the F for Facebook. touch that lottery. Bam, see the Florida lottery? All right. So then you can see Mega Millions is in the middle here. You can't do any reverse squeezing or anything with this website. It is the way it is. So what I do to update my spreadsheet is there's three little bars up here, and I say winning numbers. And then I click Mega Million, and there it is. Yeah, you see that right there? Now I do a print screen of that. I'll do that. Now I have a picture of the winning numbers. So I do just like this. And there you go. I leave the amount of room below and above that's equivalent to what you see between the balls as they present them. There we go. Finish that off. There you go. That's how I do it. So that way I'm not typing numbers. I just pop those right in there. I click up in the upper right-hand corner. This is a check. I check it. Save the photos. And that's it. It's saved the photos. I go to my photo album. It's not there because I don't have the right library. I need the collection. I need to get this. Recently saved. There it is. Bingo. Hit the heart. And that's how I put it up in there. I have to do a couple adjustments. Let's see. No, I don't do anything with that. So I turn the brilliance down. I turn the contrast up. Yeah. Turn the contrast up. Black point, I turn that up. See, and that makes the circles a little more intense. And then I come up here and diddle with the exposure just a little bit. Just a little bit. If you go too high, you start to louse up the black rings. So I just turn that up about 30%. Yeah. So that would the way the white is super white. Check mark. Got it. And then when I put it in the spreadsheet, you see the circles. You don't see the white because it's in the white position of the spreadsheet. Anyway, so that's how I get the numbers in the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet will accept this picture. This is actually a picture because I did a print screen of the Florida lottery and then cropped it just to show the balls. Yep. So this is an Iranian island that has pipelines subterranean. Let me see right here. That's all oil storage tanks. Yeah, big ones. Real big ones. Each one of those is like a 3-story office building. Each one of those white dots. You got smaller ones for refined product. So you have your big oil tankers that come by and fill them up. So they're pumping stations. And Iran says you get in there, and we're taking that over now. They've bombed. I mean, there are all kinds of bombing targets on this island, which is, probably, I'm going to say 2 miles long and a half mile wide, if I had to guess, just by looking at these tanks, because these are, 150, 200 feet wide. So if you space that out all the way across, you probably got, 10,000 feet, a couple of miles worth of island. I'm going to say 2 miles long and 1 mile wide, 3/4 of a mile wide. To take that over is a piece of cake. We bombed out all the select military sites on this island, so that if there is any military personnel, they don't have any barracks to sleep in. They don't have any military weapons stored in any storage room, warehouse, whatever. Where they may have a warehouse full of missiles, warehouse full of ammunition. That's all been blown up. Yeah, they're working that right now. They're bombing sorties 1,000 a day, every day. So, you got 30, you got 100 days, let's say. 100 times 1,000 is 100,000. That's a lot of whatever. The deal that Trump is going to make with Iran, whenever a deal is to be made, is first, Iran will pay back the expenses we have incurred in seizing Iran. So all the bombing raids, all that will be paid back in oil. So instead of paying $80 a barrel, we'll pay $0 until all the monies will be reimbursed for all the bombing raids, the pilots' salaries, the maintenance of the jet airplanes, us, the expense of us moving, our several aircraft carriers in this region to make you succumb so you're not a nuclear threat to all your neighbors, which could be the planet if we allowed you to figure out how to make missiles that would have enough range. You got to turn over your nuclear, or we'll find it. We'll rip your place apart looking for it. You know where it is, so you either tell us where it is or you're dead. Next. Tell us where it is or you're dead. Oh, bang. Next. Sooner or later, someone's going to say, sir, I know exactly where it is. Good idea. Come on over here and sit down with this instrument. You can circle where it is, and we'll dispatch some folks that know how to recover such things. Tell those people that we're coming, so we don't have to shoot them dead. Or they want to play games, we'll shoot them dead. Oh boy. So that's what's next on the agenda. There's all kinds of misinformation, misinformation. One side says, "Oh, the talks are going very well." Another side, Iran, whatever those ministers are, say, "We're not negotiating with anybody. We ain't gonna negotiate with these assholes that are bombing us. We ain't giving them shit. Get out of here." So who knows what's actually happening? I would tend to believe the President of the United States because he made remarks, unless he's tricking everybody, and they're doing a double whammy on whoever's in charge of the uranium,
It's 4 o'clock.
Iranian. Yeah. This guy says Iran has no intention to hold talks with the U.S. So says the foreign minister. Foreign minister says Trump's proposal to end the war being reviewed. And then right above it, Iran has no intentions of holding talks with the U.S. Well, if you're not going to hold any talks, how the hell are you going to be reviewing a Trump proposal? How does that happen? There's incongruity between, this one sentence separated by a semicolon, by a semicolon, yeah. Jeez. This is CNBC. Kevin Bruninger. Kevin Bruninger. And Dan Mangan from the daily edition of CNBC.com. Well, they need to do a little tidying up of that one big long sentence separated by a semicolon. Because that makes sense. Who the hell are you talking to? Who the hell you're not talking to? Let's go find who we're not talking to and take them out. Obstacles to end war come into focus as U.S. and Iran outline starkly different demands. Well, according to this guy, Iran has no intention to hold any talks with the U.S. So who are these guys talking to? I mean, it's a mess. I mean, they're Hilter Skelter and Jan because look at that missile. So that's some part of a missile. I mean, that's a guy standing there right there. So that's one guy, two guy. That's like, let's say he's 6 feet tall. 6, 12, that's 20 feet. And that's the end of some missile that apparently has pierced the ground and is just stuck in the dirt, in the stone dirt. Yeah. That goes boom. All those people go boom. So that's the problem with floating around. There's some reason why that didn't explode. A fuse system that's in the very nose of that thing. I mean, it could go off at any moment. Not a good idea hanging around it. I wouldn't be tapping on it either. I don't know whose missile that is. There's no paint marks that I can see. I don't see anything. There's some more fins. No. So that's a missile that goes from here to there that got shot out of the sky maybe, and that's just a part that came down. Where's the rest of the missile? It probably exploded above. And this piece came straight down, inactivated, deactivated, I guess. Well, NOAA, NOAA, the National Hurricane Center. Now, NOAA stands for National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA, in concert with the National Hurricane Center, NHC. So you got NOAA, and the NHC is redesigning its most recognizable cone of certainty. You're inside that cone of certainty, which moves and shifts, you know, as a storm approaches, depending on upper level currents and all that business. The steering currents, which I have not been trained in such thing. John Harlan explains some meteorological phenomena, but we never got to the steering currents and where I would be able to see, you know, mapping data on steering currents. There is such things. I just don't know how to. I don't know how to read it. It's like in a foreign language. Look at this. This is episode 579. That means there are 578 previous episodes. There are. I don't do one every day. I average one every other day. Maybe every third day. It depends. If I don't feel well, I don't do one. I feel fine. My dog is sleeping in the box behind me. About every hour he gets up and tries to jump in my lap. And since I'm having this chat with you all, I don't have room on my lap and then have the ability to move my hands around to operate some of this electronics that I have around here, like this iPad. The eCam, ECAMM.com, eCamLive.com also, is a software system that I guess, rent month to month. I pay like $30 a month, I think. I figure it was $19.99 or $29.99, whatever. And it allows, you know, up to like 3 or 4 cameras. I don't know if there's a limit. But in one of the camera ports in my MacBook Pro Air, the Air version, MacBook Air, which is a MacBook Pro, the Air edition, slightly different than a MacBook Pro. I like the Air because there's no like vents and all that stuff. It is, you know, like a half-inch thin. I don't know why they say a half-inch thick. It's not thick, it's thin. I mean, the lid is really thin. Of course, this is an iPad, which is attached magnetically to the Magic Keyboard. You see how thin this is? 5 millimeters. MacBook Pro iPad with my shoulder my pads. Yeah. Yeah, so I plugged this into the camera port, and Ecamm thinks it's a camera, but it's not. It's an iPad. And the nice thing about the iPad, that's interesting. How can I must be looking at the recent, yeah, look at this. Yeah, Elon Musk, they're getting ready to pop what do you call it? An IPO on SpaceX. Now, SpaceX just merged itself with the AIX or something or other. It's a AI company. That's a Elon Musk company. It's part, it's a separate company, but the shareholders of SpaceX own it. So they merged it and brought it in under the one enterprise, so that when they went public, they go public as a whole instead of two parts. So this week could be the week that Elon Musk pulls the plug and begins the execution of the IPO, which requires, a short period of time, weeks, not months or years, weeks, to come to fruition, because all the investment banking partners that are going to schlepp stock to the public, to bring its valuation up to, they don't know, until it's a public company, you don't know what the overall valuation is. Depends on how, what price the stock trades at and all that business. But rumors have it about 1.7 trillion with a T. QRS, LMNOP, Yeah, T. T like trillion, not B, as in billion. We're talking trillion, which is 1,000 billion. $1.75 trillion, the estimated value of the company. And the value of the company is, what's the trading price of the stock multiplied by the total number of shares outstanding, even though some of those shares are not tradable or sellable, because they usually lock up the insiders, which is the board of directors and all the initial shareholders and the huge shareholders. They one of the things the investment banking firms get is a list of all the shareholders. And, how much stock do they own? What price did they pay for it? Etc. What date did they buy the shares? Or cause them to own the shares? A big company like that, there's all kinds of different ways of people getting the shares. They could be incentive shares that were provided to employees. Some of those incentive options, stock options, you've heard of that. So you might have an incentive where each year this particular associate got 20,000 options, stock options. Well, sometimes those people exercise the options and convert them into shares. An option is a contract to buy the stock at a particular price. And as time passes, that price seems real cheap, might appear to be real cheap. At the time of the granting of the option, in current day terms, the option would be provided to an employee, let's say at 110% of the average current market trading value, if there's any trading value. You could get an accountant's letter and say, hey, we think the stock is worth X or Y or Z. There are different ways of determining what the value of the stock is, because that creates a basis above which you pay capital gains if you sell the shares. Anyway, employee stock options is usually a big piece of a company like SpaceX, because you had a lot of original engineers, thousands of original engineers that made up the company, that basically started the company and executed all the plans that Elon Musk had outlined, good or bad. They had lots of rockets that blew up. Oh yeah, there was one year where they launched 3, not the same time, over 12 or 18 months, and all 3 of them exploded. So then he had a 4th one, the last one. Now they were modifying it and doing things, to try to be a rocket company. You can't have all your shit blowing up all the time. So finally, with the 4th rocket of that year, it's the last one that they actually had completed. And Elon Musk said, to himself, I don't think he sold it to everybody this way, but apparently if he didn't, if this one blows up, he's SOL on taking this company any further. But didn't come to that, because they got financing. I helped procure it. And all of a sudden, this guy comes out of the blue. I'm a competitor of one of the people you've been buying and selling shares with this company and other companies. We know Jay Wilson, and we know some of your board members over there at the Tesla company. We even heard the Tesla company and SpaceX was they themselves are going to merge. I don't think that's, personally, this is just Jimmy talking. I'm not giving investment advice. Certainly Elon Musk isn't listening to my advice. Elon, don't listen to my advice. Let's put it that way. Even if you are, don't. Stop. But if you are taking my advice, which of course you're not, I would say, Elon, don't merge SpaceX with Tesla. You're in the driver's seat in both companies. You don't need to merge them. You got everything that you could want. It's better. The sum of the parts is worth more than merging them. And you'll have a huge shareholder fight on your hands when you're going to dilute. Everyone's going to hate it. They don't understand, they just think in terms of dilution. Well, if they're there, let's just keep it simple, stupid. So if SpaceX, by some miracle, has the same overall capital value, let's see what they call it. And you at least want to use the right vocabulary words. Market cap. Yeah. See right there, Tesla. Market cap 1.448 trillion with a T. That's what that T stands for. That's trillion. Otherwise, you put 12 zeros over across there. Oh, God. Trillions, quadrillions. Oh, my God. We have to start learning what the hell the, so 1,000 trillion is what? I don't know. I think it's a quadrillion, maybe. I don't know. They have other names. Hey, Siri, you got millions, billions, and trillions. What's next after trillions? Hey, Siri, millions, billions, trillions. What's next after trillions? No. Damn it. Hey, Siri, we have millions, billions, and trillions. What's next after trillions? Quadrillion. There we go. Quadrillion. Quadrillion. Oh my God. There we go. Oh, there it is. It's the thing, the answers go away so quick. I said, no, what the hell is this? There's a dog and some big ass dog that's just jumped into. So yeah, Donald Trump is the best president we ever had. There we go. According to all these ladies that are standing, it looks like, and they all have sneakers on. They could be in the sand. I don't know where they are. And we don't know where they are, what they're saying. These people are flying and they're getting ready to take off. It's a big jet. Yep. So they're cruising down there, getting ready to take off. This girl's going to jump off a big cliff. Oh, shit. She obviously knows. Well, if you flip over a little too much, you land flat on your back. You probably have a broken back. Chad Berthel comment. He just said what I just said. Donald Trump is the best president. These girls are saying the same thing. Look at those two of them in a row. There you are. Okay, well, let's go back to trillions and billions. All right, so I'm going to push this Yahoo Finance further tab. I got to pull this over so you can see it all. Yeah, that fills it right there. I'm over here. That's over there. I hit the Yahoo. So if you look at this, we're at 4:22 a.m. pre-dawn on Thursday, and it looks like it closed at 385.95, and the aftermarket trading has brought it down 4 hours and 28 cents to 381. It was 450 not long ago. If we look at these, let's look at the 6 month. Yeah, see, it's 475, 495. It was 495. Now it's 380. Yeah, that's to me, it's way over. At 380, it's still overpriced. Not investment advice, just saying. If we go back, never go back. Let's shrink it down. There we go. Look at the price earnings ratio, 357 times. That's ridiculous. There's no viable, realistic company where you can say with any kind of certainty that this company is worth 357 times its forward-looking earnings. That's nuts. There's no company like Tesla. Let's NVIDIA. Now that's a high-tech chips, robotics. Price earnings ratio 36. See it right there? Right below 162, which is the volume in millions of shares traded. For yesterday, price earnings ratio 36, market cap 4.34 trillion. You take the price of the stock, the opening price of the stock is 177. Multiply that by the total number of shares outstanding, you get 4.34 trillion. That's how you get that number. That's how this computer display gets that number. It's basically the shares outstanding times the opening price of the stock. Now it goes up, or the closing price of the stock. Depending, it depends on when they take the snapshot of the market cap. Maybe it's the average price of stock over the last week or month or quarter. I don't know. 36 times earnings. Tesla, 360 times earnings, 357. Apple, 31 times earnings. Google, 26 times earnings. PE ratio, Meta platforms, 25 times earnings. Amazon, 29 times earnings. So, Microsoft, 23 times earnings. Tesla, 357. No. Nope. That's why it keeps bouncing off. You can see, look, this is the 1 day. If you look at the 3 month, you can see it's a slide down the hill. If you look at the 1 year, not year to date, but 1 year, it's gone up to 495 and now it's at 3, whatever the hell it's at. Year to date means, just this 3 months. So year to date is basically 89, 90 days right there. So the 3 month chart's going to look almost identical. It has to execute and create earnings on some of these plans, like Robotaxi. Fine, so you're going to have a big rollout, a huge rollout. Well, roll it out. Well, they're starting to roll it out right soon. They have like 12 or 20 cities, which includes Miami, Orlando, Tampa. Yeah. Orlando, Tampa, Miami. It seems like, that's 3 principal cities in the state of Florida. Probably 85% of the population live in the surrounding counties to those 3 cities. So you got Miami, Broward, Palm Beach County. That's South Florida. They'd be serviced out of the Miami office of the Robotaxi, for sure. And then you got the whole Orlando SMSA area, for the middle part of the state. And then the Tampa, which is the second largest population area with the 15 counties that surround Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County, Tampa, not Hillsborough County and Broward County. No. Anyway, so that's the big. That's one of the reasons why it's hard to, and then you got some of these, analyst people that say they're not analysts that keep, like promoting this. It should go up because of X. It should go up because of Y. The robotics. He's building factories to build 10 million robots a year. A factory that would deliver 10 million robots a year. He's got another part of the factory over in California that's going to make 1 million robots a year in the area where they were making Model S's and Model X's. Well, they're going to discontinue those two. They discontinue them in June. Then they're going to retrofit that part of the factory to accommodate the facilities that are going to manufacture 1 million humanoid robots a year. And with that practice, a factory is under construction in Austin, Texas to build 10 million robots a year. Well, until you actually start making them and have developed some kind of a price and some kind of a profitability, it costs you $15,000 to make the robot. I'm making these numbers up. Elon keeps on saying 10,000. He's not real good at estimating prices or time. He's a great thinker when it comes to let's do X or let's do Y. But, when it materializes and how much, he's not the best estimator of price valuations, if you will. But, we've been driving a Tesla for 6-7 years, and it's a magnificent, it's like driving an iPhone. It's like an iPhone with 4 wheels. You download it comes with software enhancements periodically every month or so. Maybe as often as every 2 weeks. Whenever it comes out with a release that's worthwhile, according to the people in Fremont, California, and Elon Musk himself. I'm not too sure where the headquarters office is for the robotics. It's probably in Austin, Texas, even though they're building their initial million in a small factory location. I mean, it could be 200,000 square foot corner of a 8 million, square foot. So it's hard to tell, whatever the factory parts of the building that was making the Model S and the Model X like exit, S like Sam. Those two models are being discontinued this year in June. So March, April, May, June, if you want one of those, you better order it up now, because they're shutting down that part of the factory that makes those two vehicles. They're so unique to have their own, substation, so to speak. Anyway, June 30, they're out of there. And the only way you're going to buy a Model S or a Model X is you're going to buy a used one. Yep. But they got the Model Y and the Model 3, and they're selling like hotcakes. For a couple of years, for 3 or 4 years, the Model Y was the most popular car sold in the globe, anywhere. Not just electric car, any car. No one sold more cars than what the Model Y sold for like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Last year, it just got beaten by a Chinese company, I think. A Chinese company. I think it just outsold them by, 5,000 cars or whatever. Chinese company, I believe. We have the Model Y. It's magnificent. We've driven, Mercedes. We've driven all the fancy schmancy cars. Not Rolls Royce and not Bentley. Everything except those two. Not Porsche. Almost bought a Porsche. I should have. I had one in my hands and I didn't buy it. $90,000 guy. Convertible. I drove it in our neighbor from the Porsche dealership into. We went to the Porsche dealership just for the hell of it. And they had a white one with a cream leather interior. And I said, wow, can we do a little test drive? He said, yeah, here's the keys. Give me your license. Driver's license. They run it through some system to find out if I'm a bad guy or not. And Marilyn and our 2 kids popped in that, and I drove it. I got on I-95 and drove it around our neighborhood, waved at all the neighbors. The kids wanted to drive the car around the neighborhood, which I did. And yeah, bring it back, take it out for an hour or so. So we did. I drove it all over the place. Should have bought it. I had the money. I forget the stock. I had some stock. Should have sold it. Six months later, whatever the stock is I had in the company I had loosened. Technologies went down. Should have bought the car. I had the money. Could have sold the shares, for a couple $100,000, bought the car all cash. No, I didn't do it. Kept the stock. Stock went down, lost the money. Some economic event that killed the company. I got screwed. I got wham-bammed, like 2 or 3 times in a row. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I did well, but let's see if we have any more data from Yahoo Finance here at 4:38 pre-dawn a.m. 4 a.m. I've been talking to you guys. See right up here? See, 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 49 seconds. That's the elapsed time that I've been talking here. And that right there is the actual time. Yep. All right, so in the pre-market hours as of 4:38 a.m., Tesla is trading at 381. It's down 4 hours from the 385. You know, until they actually get something going here, I don't see how they can how they can hold on to a PE ratio of 300. So you look at a PE ratio of 357. That's ridiculous. I mean, there's a you know a reason that stock could be, you know, instead of a $400 stock, it could be $100 stock. So if it's $100 and you go, you know, price earning ratio, it'd still be, you know, like a PE ratio of 80 or 90, which is still crazy. A PE ratio of 90 is crazy. Certainly 357, you know, all these guys dancing around the price of stock, they don't want to talk about this. Oh, no, we can't do that because, so, you know, can't based on that because we got this going for us and we got that. Yeah, well, fine. You turn it into earnings instead of conversation, and you actually see, you know, some results. Yeah. Don't confuse effort with results. I had you know, a financial person tell me that, you know, the treasurer of the bank that we were part owners in. Don't confuse effort with results, he would tell me when we get all mad at each other because we didn't seem to measure up to some barometric meter. But 380 times earnings. Tell me another publicly traded stock, you know, that's worth $1 trillion or more. Because this valuation is 1.448 trillion. So let's just go down to 1 trillion. Show me another company of $1 trillion or more that's trading at 350 times earnings. 300 times earnings. How about 300 times? How about 200 times earnings? How about 150 times earnings? There aren't any. You know, so this is all a bunch of smoke and mirrors and bullshit. Pardon the expression. Just pre-dawn hour of 4:41 a.m. 4:42 a.m. Yeah, forget it. Yeah, so lots of luck. So this share, you know, these shares now they're going like crazy. They're launching, you know, by year end. Well, by year end, you know, what the hell? This is March. You know, a lot of these jurisdictions, cities, and you know, you got to go in there. You got to introduce, and you got regulatory. You know, this driverless car thing is, you know, you know, and of course Tesla has an insurance company that operates in a number of states. Florida just became one of them. So I think they're, you know, in like 9 or 12 states. So I don't know which states they are, but Florida just got approved, like sometime early March. So I want to see what the Tesla insurance is like. There's another company that does insurance on self-driving, and they believe in the self-driving. The numbers are significant. The numbers meaning that if you add up all the miles that are driven all over the United States with all the vehicles all over the country, and you come up with a metric like for the average driver that drives just regular cars, not Tesla cars, not self-driving cars, how often do they get in an accident? The answer to that is about every 700,000 miles. Now you got millions and millions of miles of roads all over the country. And you got, tens and tens of millions of cars that drive on those roads. So there's trillions and trillions of total miles driven. So the metric is, on average, the human driver experiences an accident how often? The answer to that is about every 700,000 miles, the average human driver gets in an accident of some sort. Not a real, minor fender bender. A real accident where you have maybe some injuries, maybe not, but a serious accident that, let's say, requires $1,000 worth of repair. The bumper got pushed in a little bit, where they got to replace the bumper. That's $1,000 repair, guaranteed. Now, if it's just a little tiny nudge where you can't even see where the contact between the two vehicles occurred, although someone may call it an accident, it's really not an accident. You shouldn't report something like that and get the police and everything and all this involved with a nothing, it's a nothing burger, Anyway. Now, when Tesla cars are on the road, they know how millions of those are on the road. How often does a Tesla get in an accident when its autopilot is engaged? The answer to that is about every 5.5 million miles. So if you divide 5.5 million by 700,000, I'll do it right here for you. 5.5 million. There you go. 5.5 million miles. Every 5.5 million miles, a Tesla gets in an accident when the computer is driving the car. So we're going to divide that by the 700,000 miles that humans get in accidents. Equals. So one could say that the Tesla cars are 7 times safer than, because you'll drive up to 5.5 million miles before there's an accident, whereas human drivers get in accidents every 700,000 miles. On average. I believe the number is, if let's say you don't have the full self-driving engaged, you're just using the autopilot that comes, like it's an enhanced cruise control in a sense. Now remember, the Tesla has 7 cameras looking in all directions. So if you engage the cruise control, the average Tesla gets in an accident every 2.5 million miles, which makes it 3 or 4 times safer than just everyone else driving other kinds of cars. So that's the metrics that we're dealing with. So to roll out this robotaxi thing, you have federal laws which haven't been written yet for computer-driven cars. You really should have some kind of a federal something, because you can't have every state coming up with their own equations. So that's what the legislatures up in Washington, the lawmakers up in Washington are starting to write some kind of legislation to essentially take it out of the hands of the local states and municipalities, because everybody can't have different directions for Tesla and Waymo and these other self-driving vehicles. Anyway, in the meantime, Tesla is rolling out robotaxi. Even though these laws aren't written yet, there's some provision that allows them to do that. Because of, I forget why, but it kind of made sense at the time, but I can't remember the logic that was used. And Tesla is willing to take the liability, because they're going to be issuing insurance policies, and they know the driving data, and they know they're going to have less accidents in Tesla cars than in other cars. There's a company, I believe it's in Arizona, that is issuing insurance, and they're willing to cut your premium in half if you use the autopilot, if you use the full self-driving feature, because they know it's safer. So they're willing to cut the premium in half if you use it. That's and the Tesla vehicle can tell everybody, including the insurance company, how many miles were driven with the full self-driving and how many miles were driven without the full self-driving. And it'll add it up, and if 100% of your miles driven is full self-driving, then your premium is going to be divided in half. If you use your full self-driving, 50% of the time, then you're going to get a 25% reduction in your premium. Mm-hmm. So that's quite a statement that an insurance company who has a board of directors, and they have all these people thinking about such things and analyzing, and they have the driving data that they have, that Tesla has provided them, because Tesla keeps track of all this stuff, I mean, we're driving, 6.5 years. We haven't had an accident. None. Marilyn's tried to move a column with her driver's side rear bumper. She was backing out of a parking space and something slid along her car. So it could have been something that happened in a parking lot when she wasn't even in the car. I can't tell. She doesn't remember. So it could be, a white car was parked next to us in Publix. They backed out and just slid a little bit on the driver's side rear bumper. And they kept on sliding, and they didn't know any better. So, it's probably 500 hours worth of, 400 hours worth of buffing it out. Have to take it to the car wash and see if we can clean that up a little bit. Because I'd like to try for the Tesla insurance. You take 6 pictures of the car. You take a picture of your driver's license. You do a facial picture of yourself to prove that you're the same as your driver's license. And then hit send, and it goes into Tesla Central. Comes back with a premium. Knows where you are. Knows how many miles you drive, which is not much. And there you go. And they say the premium would be up to 50% lower than any other insurance you can buy. Well, $400 premium becomes a $200 premium. That's quite an incentive to drive a Tesla when the insurance premium is half of what the premiums are for all these other insurance companies that are overcharging us for 6 years and never had an accident. No claims. We're the best friend for an insurance company. No claims in 6 years, and we're getting stuck with a $450 a month premium to drive a Tesla. So I want to see what Tesla, how much premium they'll come up with. I'm going to do that before the end of the month. I like to start off the month April with a different insurance policy and say thank you very much, Progressive. You know, they have the best premium right now, which sucks, but it's better than other premiums that are even higher. All right, so down 459. Doesn't look good for pre-market conditions. 457. Down 457 in overnight trading. All right. Go back to my photo album. There's Melania Trump walking down the runway. Melania Trump shares the spotlight with a humanoid robot at an education and technology event. This is from the Associated Press. So they're in some, I don't know where they are. They're at a education and technology event somewhere. I'm just trying to see. They got like, I don't know, it's a corridor in a mall or something. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It looks like a Tesla robot, but it's not, because their arms doesn't look like that, and it's got big mitts for hands. The Tesla hands are a little more dainty, but it's got some kind of a logo on it, which I don't. It's either a logo or it's or that's their method of pixelating it out so you can't see a logo. I see American flag, little tiny American flag there, and right above it may be some kind of a logo or something which has been X'd out. Something on the head or face that's similarly X'd out with that pattern. Anyway, that's so humanoid robots is quite the. I told Mel I want one. You know, I mean, you know, what an aid for someone like Marilyn who has a husband who's over 80. She's in her 70s, still working. I'm over 80. So instead of me sitting here by myself, I can sit here with Charles. I've already named the robot I don't have. Yeah, Tesla's got a great one. Oh my God. Let's see if I can show you. OPDOMIS. Did I spell it right? No. What's that? OPDOM. Who is the MIS? Optimus robot. Humanoid age. UMINOIDROBOT. All right. Optimus humanoid robot. Let's try that. Bingo. And the answer is Let's look at images. Yeah. This is what, right here. This is a good picture. No, it's not. It's a better picture. I'm trying to get it so you can see it. No, that's not bad. See, it's got a smaller nets. We should go back to Optimus version 3.5. There we go. Let's try that for a search.
It's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Everybody, you see it right there on the clock. 5 o'clock and 10 seconds, yeah. Pre-dawn, 5 a.m. Yep. I'm talking 2 hours and 1 minute. I've talked 4.5 hours, so I'll go on for another few minutes or so. Just wanted to get this out of my skin. Tesla's Optimus, you see right there, often referred to as version 3 or 3.5 generation, is an advanced general purpose humanoid robot aimed at high volume production with an official debut expected in early 2026. Well, that's this year. So early would be any time, what? By April? Would that be early 2026? The initial production starting in the summer of 2026. So I don't know what's coming out expected. What would that'd be a... Anyway, production starts in the summer. There we go. So October, you'll start to see some of these floating around. This is designed to perform industrial, commercial, and household tasks. Charles, please take the trash down to the trash chute. I can't wait for that. Yeah, Charles, would you go down and get the mail? Charles, how about you and I walk the dog? Time to walk the dog. Expecting a future cost of around $20,000 per unit. It says 10 to 20. Projecting a future cost. What's that? That's their cost or my cost? Anyway, they say from 10 to 20,000. Well, it's 10 their cost and 20 my cost. Let's just say 15,000. I'm going to put it in AI mode and see. So it's going to go on all these sites and come up with a summary report. There we go. I prefer this kind of a result. You can see it right there for yourself. Collapse that. I pull this over so we can see what we're looking at. There we go. All right, you can see Optimus version 3.5 humanoid robot. This is the search results for that. Google is, see the big G up there. If I can grab the tab and move it over a little bit. There we go. Now you can see the G. Oops. All right, AI mode. Tesla's Optimus Gen 3 robot. God, I think The print could be any smaller. Is there a way of changing the print? Um, I'm just gonna have to expand though. Represents anyway. Gen 3 literation. March 96, and officially transitioned the project from experimental prototypes to active mass production at its Fremont factory, which is supposedly going to be retooled to produce 1 million robots a year. So if you go to our trusty calculator, clear this, 1 million, all right, divide that by 52, that's 20,000 a week. Okay, I divided by 52. So 19,000 units a week. You know, when they say millions and billions, you get all confused. So I like to bring it back into some kind of a number that I can relate to. 19,000 units a week, that's quite a lot of them. And then they're also working on a factory building in Austin, Texas. That's going to do 10 million robots a year. So that'd be 200. That's 10 times, right? So instead of 19,000 a week, it's going to be, 10 times that. So it'd be 190,000 a week. Wow. See, that's a lot of robots running around. I saw the box they intend to put it in. They meant, they had a prototype of what the box would be. The retail box. They got to ship it in something, right? Yeah. Looks like they take the legs off. Because the box isn't as tall. It's not all in one piece. I think there's some way the leg portion can be unbolted. And you can, that's all you got to do. It's got plugs through all the wires to, deal with the calf muscles and the toes. The ankle connects to the shin bone. Anyway, seems to me the leg portion gets separated from the entire torso for shipping purposes. All right, let's see. Advanced dexterity. New hand system featuring 22 degrees of freedom, DOF, doubling the flexibility of Gen 2, which only had 11. It utilizes a tendon-driven system, just like our own hands have. It has fingertips for delicate objects, soft fingertips. Mobility and speed, improved leg actuators, and redesigned feet allow the robot to reach walking and running speeds of up to 8 miles an hour. Shit, that sucker can run faster than I can. 8 miles an hour is a fast run, let me tell you. Woo! Yeah, shit. Yeah, hauling ass. Optimus now uses an end-to-end neural network, the same brain used in Tesla's full self-driving system. It uses the same computer that's in my car. Yep, this allows it to learn tasks by observing human and performing complex household chores like taking out the trash. Look at that. It's right in there in the writing. Vacuuming. How about, stirring pots autonomously. Yeah, help me with making the spaghetti, will you? Jeez. Boil the water, please. And I'll put the pasta in. And then when it's done, when my alarm goes off, you can use your own timer. You got a computer in your head. As soon as you put the pasta in, set the timer for 8 minutes. Turn the temperature down to a slow boil. Visual interface. Rumored features for this production version includes a Samsung-made OLED face display. That's interesting. For communications and integrated water resistance or real-world tasks. So you can go out there and cut the lawn. Get caught in the rain, it's okay. We don't have a lawn. All right. Mass production will start January 21 of 2026. So this is March, so it's already started live. Fremont, California. Okay, current deployment. Dozens of Optimus factories. They're performing tasks such as logistics and sorting, facility support, greeting visitors and providing directions. Would you like to know more about Neuralink? No, not really. All right. New legs hit 8 miles an hour. That's amazing. Tesla says production-ready Optimus robot is coming soon. This is as of January 28th, 2026. Biggest production ever made. That's what's nice about this AI mode. It gives you a nice little report. It surfs through all the internet sites and comes up with this summary report. Images. Let's look at the images. That looks more like what I'm used to seeing. See Tesla written on the chest? Yeah. Save the photo. See that hand is a lot more, it's almost proportioned like, the hand that you got going for you. Save the photos, yeah. I have that picture. This is going to be one big ass deal, I think. Everyone's going to want one of these suckers. Yeah, you got any kind of a home environment. I heard numbers like $200 a month. I'd pay $200 a month and do without something else. Yep. Save the photo. Save to photos. There we go. All right, let's see what I got in save to photos. We'll go to photos. And there we go. That's a pretty clear image, right? You're looking at it. Slide that over here. So. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Next. There's nice proportions. Yeah. Hello. See how that hand is? That's like your normal size hand. I mean, that's Elon Musk said, "Come on, we want a hand the size of a hand." So you got all, if it's going to do, like factory stuff, you got all these devices that are sized for the human hand. So we need a human hand. Yeah.
It's 5:15.
So that's the whole. There you can see the hand, black glove on it or something. Who the hell would not want one of those? Even, just bantering around this apartment. Should I go down to Lemongrass and, go out to lunch with, can you imagine you walking down the sidewalk with this robot? The friggin' neighbors would go crazy. And go sit down and get a table for two at Lemongrass. And sitting there with an Optimus robot. That would gather quite an audience of people looking at me having lunch with Optimus. Yeah. That would be crazy amazing. Yep. That's coming. In my 80s, I hope I live to see it. I hate to think that way. I feel real good. So unless I just drop dead in my sleep and the heart stops, everything's working good. Had quadruple bypass surgery 7 years ago. It's working beautifully. I have no issues with, my heart beats regularly. Every once in a while, I get a little extra beat in there mixed in. Not lately. It may be stress oriented. I don't know. I've got myself so I try not to stress out over things that I can't control. There's no sense in doing that. All right, it's 5:15. I've been yakking here for 2 hours and 18 minutes. So for all you insomniacs, you're going to have to listen to somebody else. This is not all bad, right? I talk about interesting things. Yeah. Including the Optimus robot. Oh my God. There's all kinds of things to talk about there. Yeah. This could be a sunrise. Sunrise doesn't happen till, like 7 in the morning. Yeah. March 20 was my birthday. I must admit. It's the first day of spring. It's also known as the vernal equinox. It is the beginning of when days start getting longer. So at one point in time, days are shorter. And then at another point in time, days are longer. Well, when the days are exactly equal, 12 hours, that's on March 20, the vernal equinox. Equinox. See that equal time for day and night. That measurement of when the daylight hours exactly equals the nighttime hours, meaning after sunrise and sunset officially. If you do the math, when the number of daylight hours, 12, equals the nighttime hours, also 12 hours. That is called the vernal equinox. And then the day after March 20, the daylight is slightly larger than the nighttime by about 12 minutes, I think. And the days keep getting longer until, you know, this, instead of the first day of spring, the first day of summer. In which case, the long days start to become smaller until you get to fall, where the days become equal again. And then in the winter, you know, that's when the days are really, really small, and you have mostly nighttime. That's how it works with the Earth and the Sun and the 23 degrees of rotation on the axis. Okay, sports fan. Whoops. Whoops. I tapped on the desk. And who shows up? My little, oh my gosh, my little puppy. Look, you can see him right here. Here he is. Yeah, he's ready to play. I'm ready to go get another cup of coffee there. Big shot. Yeah. See if we can get that full screen. There we go. There's episode 579. And we're about ready to complete our broadcast for this morning. If you got up early, and if you're people that stay up all night, or you happen to work in the evening, there you go. Welcome to my world. You all have a marvelous day. We're gonna have a marvelous day because me and my little are gonna go get. Yeah, you're such a sweetie. I'm gonna go have a cup of coffee, and I'm gonna give my little pup here a couple of ounces of chicken soup. They love chicken broth. Bye-bye. Thank you.